Welcome back to the Future Leaders podcast, where we help you gain insights into the minds of successful business owners. Today we're joined here with someone very special who reached out to myself personally a couple months ago. We got connected with, who has built himself up from rock bottom with one decision, which has allowed him to become the world's best courage coach. Laban, thanks so much for joining us.
Gentlemen, it's a thrill and a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be good. I'm excited for this one.
I'm really keen. So, Bet On You, book that you've written, basically journey through your life and some of the things. The person who wrote the foreword on your book, Les Brown. Tell me how that happened. How'd you do that? How'd you make that happen?
Well, for those who haven't heard of Les Brown, once you finish this podcast, it's going to be packed full of value. Get on YouTube, punch in Les Brown, and watch 3 or 4 videos. And if you're having an average day, or even if you're having a good day, you're going to have a great day by the end of it. All right? I promise. Never trust anyone that says trust me, but trust me on this. Right? Yeah. So Les Brown had been this hero of mine and got me out of some really dark places. And for context, my background, and which is really the basis of what the book talks about, was a former professional degenerate, like drink and drugs and gambling and philandering and limiting beliefs, negative self-talk and autoimmune disease. And this was the life that I lived for a very long time until I sort of hit 35 and started my journey of transformation. I'm nearly 45 at time of recording now, to give you an idea. And I used to be in recruitment. I did IT recruitment for a long time. I know you know that space, Isaac, and I hated it. I did it for 14 years, and I was convincing myself that I really enjoyed it, but I knew that something further along was coming. And after an incident working for a small company at the end of 2018, I decided to go out and start my own recruitment business and did that for all of 2019. 2019 was a total, unmitigated financial disaster. I burned through all of my savings. I liquidated all of my crypto, and Bitcoin was about $5,000 a coin. And but the great blessing from that experience was that I was actually focused on the things that have become really important now, right? I got distracted by what was actually my purpose. And so just when I thought I couldn't suffer anymore, COVID hit. And I know this affects everyone, right? And because I hadn't earned any money with my business in 2019, I actually didn't qualify for any of the government handouts. So our rent was $3,200 a month, living in Melbourne and South Bank at the time. My wife was working a job. She had commitments that are already there, and I was like, man, what am I going to do? And for anyone that knows, Melbourne was one of the most locked down cities in the world. So I was like, I knew I wanted to be a speaker, and really that was it. At that point, I knew that I was like, I want to become the world's most positively influential speaker, was what I thought, right? And I was like, how can I do that without any social media presence, without any credibility, and so I created a podcast series, and I created the Become Your Own Superhero podcast. I don't know where the name specifically came from. I just really loved the idea of Marvel and DC and all these other things that people look up to for superheroism. And I was like, stuff that. Why don't I become my own superhero? Why don't I become someone I look up to? So that's where that came from. And right before I started that, the last event that took place in Australia was the National Speakers Association national event. Well, they call it Professional Speakers in Australia. And I'd met a number of Australian speakers, really great speakers, and they were the first guests that I invited onto the podcast. All recorded on Zoom on a 13-year-old Toshiba laptop, which I don't know.
Toshiba, that takes it back.
Yeah. That's like Back to the Future.
Dude, it had a touch screen and everything. It was it was real gnarly. And first 7 episodes were incredible with some amazing people, And I knew that I needed to bring people into my life. And I know this is principles that you guys follow, which I love to hear that as well. It's like, you become and earn within a few $1,000s of the people you spend the time with. You become like the 5 people you spend the time with, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, how the heck am I going to do that living in lockdown Melbourne? So I knew that I had to reach out to big names, not because they were famous necessarily, but because of proximity. And I'd had some experiences in 2019 trying to start this recruitment business where I eventually had to start cold calling CEOs. Now, in IT recruitment, you don't really deal past the CIO, Chief Information Officer.
Yeah.
So it was very scary, like cold calling these CEOs. But I ended up having some great conversations. So I kind of took that momentum from that experience, and I was like, I can do this. And I knew about some software that exists on as a plugin over LinkedIn called Lusha, LUSHA.com. And recruiters would use it to access emails and phone numbers of people. And I was like, maybe that would work with famous people too. So I punched in Les Brown's thing. And sure enough, a cell phone came up.
Popped up.
And I was like, so it's Saturday morning. It's May 2020. I'm butt naked because that's how I sleep. TMI, but that's just for context. And it's about 6 a.m. and my beautiful wife's next to me. And I ring the number because it's like early afternoon the previous day in Atlanta where Les lives, right?
Of course, yeah.
And anyway, I tried to ring this number a few times, but this particular morning picks up, and this voice, which is undeniable, Les Brown. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, go and check him out afterwards, I promise. Big, beautiful chocolate velvet. Hi, Les speaking. And I go, Les Brown? He goes, yes, it is. I go, Les Brown is Laban Ditchburn from Melbourne, Australia. I always love to give a geographical anchor. Particularly, Australia has a real positive interest, and a lot of people travel there. It's always on their bucket list, right? So use what you can. And he said, how can I help you, my boy? I said, Les, I'm a huge fan of you and your work, and I'm also the host of an incredible podcast series called Become Your Own Superhero. Because it was incredible. It wasn't famous, and I only had 10 subscribers, 5 of whom are my family, who have all since unsubscribed. But it was fabulous nonetheless. And I'd be honoured if you came on and shared your amazing story with our audience. When are you available? And he says to me...
I love how you didn't ask if he was free.
Yeah.
You just said, when are you available? It's like, he's already in.
It's probably a very typical closing technique, right?
Yeah.
Like an assumptive close.
It's the epitome of the assumptive close, without even being really intentional about it. And he said, well, when are you thinking, boy? And I went, well, to be honest, Les, whenever works with you is pretty good with me. I mean, this was a hero of mine, and a guy in every circle that he's in regarded as the greatest transformational speaker of our generation. You know, this guy was married to Gladys Knight, out of one of the most famous singers ever. And so we booked it in for Tuesday night, midnight. And I nearly mucked it up, but thanks to my beautiful wife, she's like, I think it's tonight, darling. I was like, no. Sure enough, it was. I thought it was the next night because of the whole midnight 12 p.m. thing. I've since figured that one out. Anyway, so we get on this call, and I'm using Zoom, and I have researched this. I've probably done 10, 12 hours worth of research plus read 2 or 3 of Les's books recently in addition to other stuff. And it's a real recommendation that I'll give anyone that's doing this kind of thing. The preparation, it sounds like an obvious thing, but the preparation takes something away in your brain where you're constantly thinking further down the line, and you're trying to come up with good questions, so you're not present, and people can pick up on that. And so you want to try and be in that moment as often as you can. And it's not a perfect science. But anyway, so he comes on, and we start a bit of small talk, and I said, hey, Les, what do you think of the name of the podcast, Become Your Own Superhero? And if you've heard this guy speak, he just floored me with how beautifully he spoke about it. Like, I was so humbled. It was unbelievable. And I don't know what happened, gents, but he triggered something in me, and I just verbally diarrheaed my story of transformation to him. The drink and the drugs and the philandering and the poverty and the bankruptcies, everything. And he just sat there and he listened with the patience of a saint. And he waited for me to finish. And he goes, congratulations, Les. Congratulations, Laban. And I go, thanks, Les. He goes, do you have a book? And I go, no. He goes, if you're going to be a speaker, you'll need a book to help with your credibility. And I was like, dang, that's a good idea. And he goes, who was the most influential person in your life when you were 5 years of age? And I struggled with this. Never been asked this question before. I thought it might have been my grandma. But when I reflected upon it at the time, I was like, actually, despite her many flaws, be my mum.
Mm.
And he said, well, what attributes did you get from your mum? And I was like, man, she was unconditionally loving. She was tenacious. She was very deeply spiritual, and like reeling off all these positive attributes. And he looked at me and he goes, Laban, I'm gonna show you how to monetize your purpose. And for the next 10 minutes, he said, Laban, you're gonna write this book. It's gonna be called Bet on You. And you're gonna, if you need some help, get some help. And you're gonna turn the book into a keynote. And you're gonna turn that keynote into a 3-day retreat. And he said, even if you stuff this up, you'll make $100,000 in the next 12 months. Mm. Now, obviously, he wasn't able to allow for the continual lockdown that happened in Victoria.
Yeah.
But then he kept going and he said, and I'm going to interview you on my platform. He had an audience of 4 million followers at that point. And then he said, Laban, and I'll write the foreword to your book. And in a moment of complete and utter insanity, this was May 14th, 2020, I said, Les, if you're going to write the foreword to my book, I'll have it to you by June 30. Now, for context, I never finished high school. I never went to university. I had no formal qualifications whatsoever. I had been reading a lot, hundreds of books at this point. And in 6 weeks, during the strictest part of the lockdowns, I pumped out 33,000 words of the first draft and emailed it and delivered it to Les's inbox.
Good
as
stuff.
promised.
Yeah, wow.
And it fundamentally changed me as a person for a couple of reasons. One, it's very cathartic and very healing writing your story, whether you publish it or not, which is why I think journaling's so enjoyed,
Big.
right?
Yeah.
Secondly, I had a history of just incompletion. I just didn't finish things that I started. And my life was blurred by all the intoxication of escapism. And I was high functioning. So like everything on the surface seemed like it was good. I had a good, well-paying job, before I went up my own, and had big circle of friends and bosses that liked me and used to show up to work on time. But I was a broken boy inside. And I remember writing these things down and remembering these stories that I'd buried, good and bad, that as they came through, like I was bawling my eyes out. And now I'm like at peace with it all.
Yeah.
So
when you come to terms with it, everything just kind of like becomes like peaceful with it. It's And I like the fact that you put a date on something as well, because like for one thing that I've realized is writing out my goals. Like, okay, I've got to get this, and this done. But unless I put like a set date, I kind of like fluff around. But if I have a set date, I like make sure it's done by that set date. That was one thing that I've realized. But I just want to pull it back a little bit. For you, what was it like to get to the position you are today? So you're talking about like, alcohol and drugs, and, we're talking about how you're sober for the past 9 years. What does that journey to now look like?
Can you be more specific? Like, what's the thing that you really would like to know that we can share with people?
Well, right now you're a speaker, right? And I just want to know how you got to that position from the struggles that you were talking about, as in like,
Maybe start with like the catalyst that made the turning point.
Sure.
Is that what you?
Yeah, I mean, because it's a brilliant question. And I wouldn't want to dilute it by kind of rushing through an answer, because I think context is really important with a lot of this stuff you see online, people sharing their stories, and they kind of skim over the thing that, didn't maybe go so well. So, and as part of my core beliefs and values, that's really important for me. Mm-hmm. So, look, what's interesting is that from a very young age, I'm talking probably 5 or 6, 7, I knew that I was destined for great things. I don't know how to explain it. It's just what I felt.
Yeah.
And so when I get to 35 and I ain't doing great things, I'm like, this feels out of alignment. And then I look at my life and I go, well, hang on, I'm a big fatty. I'm an alcoholic for sure. Drinking 6 to 7 nights a week, abusing recreational pharmaceutical, like everything.
Yeah,
Gambler,
yeah.
I was a prolific, degenerate gambler, like promiscuous, just no self-worth and that kind of thing.
It would have been a hard hole to get out of.
Well, yes and no equally. When you reach a point of such pain, and I talk about this quite a lot, like sometimes it can be a good idea. This sounds real backwards, by the way, but I think it works. That if you're like, life isn't so bad, just keep going, keep pushing the boat out a little bit until the shit completely hits the fan.
Yeah.
You lose your wife, you lose your kids, you lose your house, and like then you're in like real motivation mode. So I'm not encouraging people to do that. Some people won't see it until they reach that level of pain. I was at the point where I was like, I'm such a loser that I will really seriously consider ending it all, which is such a ridiculous waste.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. But equally the tie in with the mental health thing, my gut health was trashed because of all the abuse and the stress that I was putting my body through. So it makes perfect sense that the part of the body that creates 85 to 90% of all the serotonin, the dopamine, the norepinephrine, like all the feel-good chemicals, not all of them are used by the body, but that's where they're produced. That was trashed.
Oh yeah.
So like no wonder I
like
wanted
that.
to top myself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then I was like, right, you got yourself into this, you can get yourself out. And then a quote that I got from Les Brown, he says, ask for help, not so that you appear weak, but so that you can remain strong, and keep asking for help until you get it. And so that's what I did. And the first call I made was to the Gamblers Helpline. Got access to a wonderful gambling psychologist who shared with me about how gambling has the highest rate of suicide for men and women out of all the addictive behaviours because of how quickly everyone loses it. And it's such a insidious, shameful addiction. And I got access to this weekly free counselling funded by tax dollars from gambling losses. So I, run by the Salvation Army. So I started getting an ROI on my bets, and in those first few sessions, I remember this like yesterday. Lee, this poor woman that was on the receiving end of my trauma for all this time. I wish her well now. She was amazing. She was asking me about the relationship I had with my mum. This is like 2016. And I just remember bawling my eyes out, and just like, because there was a lot of dysfunction and, childhood divorce and things that a lot of people that listening to this can identify with. They're wondering why they feel a certain way when maybe you had no decent role model of how to live a good life. Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay. And one of the guys that you interviewed recently, the NRL guy turned property guy, what's his name?
Matt Schromer.
Matt Schromer, one of the things he was talking about was like, yeah, it's really good. He was like, the twins, one ends up in jail, one ends up being a success. Like,
I use that analogy all the time. So the fact that he went into it, I was over the moon. I'm like, someone else knows it.
It's like
I never heard it before.
Really?
I loved it.
Really
I
simple.
resonated with it. Yeah.
And I'll shut up in a sec, but that comes down to personal responsibility and taking full ownership. That's what I did. And the people that are still struggling in their lives, family members, siblings of mine and other family members, are blaming everyone else. And I'm not.
Going back to the gambling a little bit more, this is just something really interesting that I found is it's not actually the outcome that gives people the dopamine, it's the anticipation of what's actually what could happen, what could or could not happen. The fact whether you're risking $1 or $100,000, it's the anticipation of something that might happen. You might feel more risk with 100,000, but even if you've got $1 up for stake, it's the anticipation of what could happen in that time. So people feel more dopamine, like on slots or something, when it's spinning than once it actually
and
stops.
all the colours and
once it stops.
That's
really
really
interesting. I don't
yeah.
disagree with that, to be fair, because I don't like gambling. Like I every now and then maybe, but if someone wants to go to the casino, cool, no stress. I'll take like a $5 note. I'll do like 5-cent bets. I'm having the time of my life. 5-cent bets. I'm at $5. Everyone's losing hundreds of bucks. And I'm just here cheering like, oh, it's $5. Yeah. But I actually don't disagree with that. It's quite interesting you said that.
I'm a poker player, so not like professional or anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I love poker. I don't go to the casino to play poker because I think that's an extreme waste of money, but I like paying friendlies or even going to like a pub. They do like a $7 buy-in and it's who can last the longest. So not a huge lot of risk, but it's the anticipation of what cards do they have? You're trying to figure out the puzzle. Wait, what do they have? Before, like the actual pot, you don't actually feel all that much, or it's when you achieve something, I think it was said in lots of certain things, you feel good for about 5 to 10 seconds once you achieve something, and then you move on to the next thing. It could be stepping back to greed or whatever it is, but the anticipation and the journey is where you actually get the most joy than the actual result.
That's really interesting. It's like the level of like how gradual it was, because I'm from New Zealand originally. My father's from Melbourne, so I'm half and half. All my family on my mum's side are all involved in horse racing, and it's a big deal over there. It's one of the major, like Melbourne Cup is over here, I suppose. So I kind of witnessed that. But if it hadn't been gambling, it probably would have been something else. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so I'm just, now you've brought that up, I'm just trying to think about those feelings that I was experiencing. It was trying to fill a void, an unfillable void. And because the way that I gave up the drink and the gambling and the drugs, well, I never needed to go through 12-step.
Okay.
And I'm not saying
Sorry,
that
just for those, what's 12-step?
like 12-step recovery programs.
Oh, right, okay.
That, like, they have Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. They even have anonymous groups for survivors of alcoholism, and there's all. So, and they follow this 12-step program, and it's been very successful. Robert Kennedy Jr. is in Narcotics Anonymous. I think he goes to 4 meetings a week or something. But I remember going into an Overeaters Anonymous forum online, and there was a guy there that had been in this community for 20 years, 5 meetings a week, and he was still harping on how he was addicted to food. Food, yeah. Like Overeaters Anonymous, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't working. So what I think was really important, and the reason I'm sharing this is because if you're listening to this and you're kind of resonating with some of the stuff we're talking about, I somehow reverse engineered and removed the desire to want to escape. So I killed the interest in drink and drugs and like that. It was almost effortless. Just a switch went off in my head because I was starting to understand a lot of this buried, deep-rooted pain that I'd carried as a young boy. And people have gone through way worse stuff than me. But that's where the comparison trap comes in. It still affects us in the same way.
In the same way, but yeah.
So don't diminish what you've gone through, but don't wallow in it. And I don't know who came up with this quote. It's like 90%. So 90% of people don't care when you whinging to them, and the other 10% are actually glad it's happening to you. And not them. So no one cares. No one cares. What they care about is when you go, yeah, my responsibility, I got it.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
It is the thief of joy. Yeah.
So I'm just curious for those who are listening who could be stuck in that environment of gambling or drugs and alcohol. What would you recommend for them to take that first step in getting out?
I think shame is one of the biggest preventers of people taking action. The embarrassment of admitting that I've got a problem. And really, no one gives a shit.
No one cares.
Truly. And the way kind of social media's gone now, there's a lot more out there. So I think it's a lot less taboo than what it was, maybe a few years ago and certainly back in the day. So, and Seneca, one of the Stoics, talks about it's always worse in our imagination than it is in real life. I can guarantee you that's the case. So if you're worried about what people are going to think of you and all these other things, like, they are legitimate concerns. I understand that. But, like, would you rather go and top yourself worrying about what are people going to think about you now? It won't matter because you're dead. But, like, just go and ask someone that, and this is really important, find someone that will not try and fix you, that will just listen without judgment. Because what you'll find is that if you go to friends and family, they'll go, oh, you should do this, and their own lives are a disaster, so they've got no credibility. Does that make sense?
Oh,
so it's like...
And I like it too, because it's one thing that I kind of abide by is, like, I'd rather live with rejection than regret. Yeah. Like, when it comes to anything, like, you know, women or calling up Les. Like, you know, I'd rather live with getting told no or whatnot than not doing it and be like, oh, what if I did do that? Because then it's a burden. So if there's anything, I'll always just take that.
Side note, I get rejected all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't take it personally anymore.
No, yeah, because to be fair, like you said, they don't care.
Yeah. They don't even know you.
No, 10 seconds later, they'll forget.
Who was that guy? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right.
And I've used your cold approach framework for, like, so many different things. Like, the most recent speaker we had at the Future Leaders Summit, so Jamie Van Leeuwen, he was a TEDx speaker. He won AI Entrepreneur of the Year for APAC in 2024. So, like, massive person. And little Isaac from Forge.
Little? So, what do you mean little?
Well, how tall are you, Isaac?
Like,
6'7".
6'7". He's a strapping young man as well. Strapping.
Yeah, so just approach him, just say, you know, I've got this amazing event. It basically just playing on the same thing you got from the podcast, and would love to have you come on as a speaker. How does that sound? Like, when can you meet for a coffee or something? And he's like, hey, Isaac, love to catch up with you. And then we just jumped on it. So it didn't end up working out because he was in Brisbane. We jumped on a Zoom. And from there, you know, he just, you know, the rest is history. The rest is history. It was
did a podcast with
truly
him.
Incredible.
We've
done a podcast.
Right.
And what's the downside? He just says no.
The worst that they can say is, look, mate, sorry, I can't
He just says no, and I just go to the next person on my list of who I wanted. He was the number one person who I wanted for a marketing AI event. He was the first one on my list. I spent about 2 hours with a list of 10 people. Yeah. So the reason why I'm telling you this is you never know what can happen from just reaching out. Who knows what's going to happen? And just grab your kahunas and just give it a go. Because you never know what's going to happen.
One of the I love that story so much. You're making me swell with pride here, Isaac. One of the things that I often talk about with usually clients of mine, but like also people that I talk to people all over the place, supermarkets, you know, people on call centers in Bangalore and whatever, is the thing is not the thing. And if you haven't heard that term before, it's kind of a loose, like, what I'm trying to say is that, like, that act, like, once it's in motion, you really don't know how it's going to end up. And what I've found, because you guys have been doing this since 21, right? Since you created Forge?
Well, since 2 years now. I can't. Yeah.
So you and Campbell got together, and then Forge started a little bit later.
19 years old, we started this, and just trying to went from there.
So, dude, I got a prediction for you guys. Here's what will happen, without any shadow of any doubt in my life. It might be 5-10 years from now, but something that you did 2 years ago will come full circle, and you go, can you believe that? Do you know what I mean? It happens all the time now because you're sowing, like the Aligi said, you're sowing seeds and you're getting the fruit back, and there's no hurry to get it back. Like, didn't agree with everything he said, but there was some great points there, right? And nor should everyone agree with everything I'm saying. Don't believe everything I say. But that's the beauty of it. And I'm witnessing that in my own life because it's been 2020 since I went full noise into this now, not working for anyone. And now I'm grossly unemployable, you know, which I'm very happy about. You know,
what was that transition like for you?
Forced.
Yeah,
forced. We
did you throw yourself in the deep end again? And just
so
make it
work? my wife and I fled the lockdowns of Melbourne to avoid the mandates in September 2021. And Anna had to we weren't married at the time, and Anna had to go back to Russia for some urgent family business. And because we weren't married, I couldn't get a visa fast enough. So she had to rush off and go do her thing. And even getting out of the country was
difficult.
You had to get a special permit from the government as a citizen, right? So my publisher, her husband was a high-powered attorney. And I spoke to him about how can I get out of the country? And so there was the Frankfurt Buchmesse, which is the largest book fair in the world in Germany. And I got this idea from a guest I had on the podcast. This guy, Andrew Matthews, is a very well-known Australian writer. He's published, I think he sold about 9 million copies of his books, like called Being Happy. They're all like, he does his own caricatures and stuff. And he was telling me, you got to get to the Frankfurt Buchmesse. So I got rejected twice by the Australian government, and then they approved the third one. And we had been planning to move to the Sunshine Coast. We had everything packed up into the container. And so I got out via Germany, and I got out via Russia. We were going to go meet each other. I was going to fly to meet her in Russia. And they shut the borders because of COVID flare-ups. This is like October 2021.
Yeah.
So I've shipped my passport back to Australia to get a stamp in it because it's all manual for Russian visas. Okay. So I'm stranded in Berlin. I'm stranded in Frankfurt at this point without a passport. And everyone remembers the mail being really slow because all the mail comes in internationally from planes. There was no planes flying in because there was no travel. So I'm like, how can I make use of this? So I ring a friend of mine, this guy Alan Thompson, Dr. Alan Thompson, who's an IT, AI, brilliant genius guy. And I happened to ask him, I go, Alan, do you know where I can record the audio version of my book to do the Audible? I want to voice my own book. He yells out, it's a true story, by the way, yells out to this speaker friend of his that's staying with him for a couple of days, hey, do you know where Laban can do his audio book in Germany? Oh, yeah, you need to connect with Eric and Beverly Wittenberg in Berlin. Eric Wittenberg is one of Europe's top vocal talents. He did like Elton John's audiobook.
So you didn't speak your own audiobook?
I did my own audiobook.
Oh, so, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying before. I was like, your voice would be perfect for it.
That's what I tell you, right?
Yeah.
So I catch the train down to Berlin, and I spent like 2 weeks there getting the book done and made use of the time. And then eventually Anna and I reconvened in the only country that would let us in at the time was Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So we went to a place called Playa del Carmen, which is not far from Cancun and pretty close to a place like Tulum. Mm-hmm. And then I had to answer your question.
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to make money then. Because we had a little bit of money. Anna had gone through a divorce from her first husband, and they'd sold the house, and she had a little bit of money, which she paid for funding of my book to be published. And like, woman's a superstar, right? And it was our 3rd wedding anniversary yesterday, by the way.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And so I'm in Mexico, and I just connected. I was like, I've got to leverage these relationships. A lot of these people I had on the podcast have probably done about 150 episodes of the podcast at that point. A lot of them were in the US. So and then we managed to get across to the US, and then I just made sure that we would road trip and go and meet, and sometimes we'd invited to stay with former podcast guests. And that experience was incredible. So now I get to call a lot of these people that were heroes of mine friends, and they ask me for help sometimes. And like so we created a mastermind with a former business partner of mine that was called World's Best, and so like that's where we started making money. And guys, it wasn't easy. like it was. Yeah. There was times there. You know, we ran out of money when we were in India in 2023. Like, when I say run out of money, like,
what did you do though? Like, what? You've got no money. How did you survive?
So that particular instance, we'd gone to an event in Mumbai, which I'd been invited to go and attend. And there's a whole long story. We got over there and we were like, let's stick around for a while, because our landlady said, if you go for 2 months, I won't charge any rent. I'll just move in. I was like, but great, saves us $2,000 a month or whatever. Anyway, we just ran out of money. Like, the systems weren't in place or anything. And so what I did is I rang a friend of mine, this guy Rob Patterson, who I'd been a guest on his podcast. He was a man of God, and I said, Rob, what do you need help with? I didn't ask him for anything. I said, what do you need help with? And he said, man, I've got this live event coming up. Love to get some people to attend. Like, you know, can you go live with me? So I went live with him like 6 nights in a row for like an hour, interviewing him and blah, blah, blah. Probably the 2nd or 3rd night, he goes, hey, what do you need help with? And I was just honest. I was like, dude, got myself in a real bind here. I'm in Goa. We had 4 nights accommodation left on the Airbnb. We were down to $50. which even in India doesn't go very far, right? Plus, we had no plane ticket out of there. Like, we had nothing.
Yeah. Did
Right.
you have your passport at least?
Had the bloody passport.
No, that's still over.
But what Rob did after that offer of what he needed help with, he introduced me, no word of a lie with these numbers, to 100 people in his network over 3 days. Personalised emails, not a bulk. That resulted in roughly a third of them having meetings with me. And my very first mastermind member for Podcasting Heroes signed up and wired $5,000 which got us enough to get us to the next thing. And then we were able to build some momentum and eventually get out of India and head to the States again. So like these stories, and I'm not exaggerating, these things are real things that happen, but they're very character building. They give me really powerful anecdotes from which to be able to share from a place of credibility, I think, because it's like when you're being coached or when you're hearing someone speak, like you want someone, I think, I like to have someone who's real and doesn't sugarcoat the bad stuff. And that's what I absolutely put in the book, all the good, bad, and indifferent, because I want it to resonate with people in a way that they could see a pathway for themselves. Or I'm not here to waggle a finger. I'm here like, hey, here's what I did. If you can figure out your own little way of doing it using some of these, like you're doing with the stuff you're learning from Vin Jiang, for example. Yeah. I just noticed it before. You're like, and the reason I'm telling you this, it's a really important thing in speaking.
I picked up on you doing it before, so I was like, I've got to chuck it in.
The blind leading the blind.
Story linking.
So anyway, you can tell I get pretty excited about the stuff. But anyway,
No, I love
does
it.
that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
You go.
I quickly jump in. It's just a bit of an ad lib. So it just shows the power of helping people as well. If you didn't take some time out of your day to, a couple of hours in your week, you would still be stuck in India. Well, not necessarily, but you could still be stuck in India right now in a real big issue. But because you were generous and you wanted to help, you never know what kinds of, let's say, compensation or things karma that can come back to you. Because you just never know. You help someone, and that's what we're doing with Forge. Even though people are like, why are you spending all this money on these events? Why are they all free? Because when we're helping people, we get connections to someone like you. We got your podcasting course. It's allowed us to kick off and get amazing guests. Like, it's not necessarily going to come to you in a monetary form, but it can come in terms of the value you can provide and certain drawbacks and actual physical things.
The reason, the main reason that I even had anything to do with you guys was I could see a lot of my own journey and what you guys are 22. We call you 21.
Yeah, I'm 21. Cam was 22.
Right, and I'm not saying this to blow smoke. You guys, when I was 21, I got a job in Bangkok in Thailand, working for a relocation company, drinking the syrup Red Bull for breakfast, working about 1 million hours a week, drinking myself stupid and burning myself out at 21. I had no clue about this stuff. And I think what you're doing is so important. I'm just excited to be able to contribute the meager amount that I can to, and then to celebrate the journey and go, maybe in 10 years time when you guys are on Forbes or whatever you're doing, because the money will come as a direct result of the value that you're creating in the world. And you know that because you've studied Think and Grow Rich and these other books, and you're a studious student. Kyle, I'm getting to know you a bit better. You're probably in the same vein.
I'm currently reading Think and Grow Rich now, to be fair. It's
right.
a phenomenal book.
Like, you cannot go wrong if you don't implement some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you just having the book in your home, I think, benefits.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I think everyone should read that book, to be fair.
100%.
It should be on... See, why isn't it in schools?
No idea.
Absolutely,
Right?
100%. I'm learning about Romeo and Juliet when I was in school.
Oh, I've got a controversial reason why, because it inspires people to think for themselves, and the world doesn't necessarily want open thinkers. They'd rather people who comply.
School's set up to create workers. Simple as that.
It's not even controversial anymore. No, it's just deliberate, right?
Yeah,
what are the priorities? And as I mentioned earlier, academically, I struggled, but it made sense with the benefit of retrospect why I struggled. I was in an incredibly stressful home environment, My diet was terrible, full of bread and things. I had brain fog. Got the same 2 results in science and economics with the same curriculum 2 years in a row. Then, how did I, like, do I sound like someone who's got a 83 IQ? Like, not that IQ means a huge amount, but like,
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah,
from 2016, when I got sober and then I started cleaning up my diet, my ability to recall and my body was thriving on ketones and I've read 750 books from then to now.
Wow.
Plus, and I'm not even making these numbers up. I'm tracking them on my Kindle and everything else, right? That's been my education. And I did that from 36. It's not too late.
Yeah, it's actually really funny you say that because we just started doing 75 hard with our community members. I wanted to do it because this past year, I think I've spent so much time on growing the business and like working hard that my physical health has taken a toll. And I was like, cool, I need to take that next step. And I thought, why not we do it as a group? Keep everyone accountable, make it motivating. And I shit you not, just from doing the 2 workouts a day, eating healthy, drinking a crap ton of water, which honestly should just be everyone's normal day to day. Maybe not the 2 workouts, but maybe 1 workout a day and everything else. I am sleeping amazing. I'm feeling amazing. I am so productive. I thought because I was doing 2 workouts a day now that I was going to, lose time. The second workout's a bit of a pain in the ass. But the 2 workouts a day, I'm like, I'm going to lose time. But doing these workouts and eating right has made me more productive than I was when I wasn't even doing it. So I really resonate with what you say because it's made a huge, huge difference just in the past, 19 days?
Yeah. I'm curious. Are you still having those sneeze attacks now that you've cleaned up your diet?
It's actually funny. I haven't thought about that.
Campbell and I have been really adamant about that. Is because I'm not saying you were necessarily eating horrible, but there was so much inconsistencies in how you were treating your body.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Where we call it carlitis. He'd have like 15 sneezes in a row.
Just for some clarification, I've got like really bad allergies, like dust, grass, cats, dogs. I did like a test on my arm. They like prick your arm. My whole arm just swelled up. So I had to get like allergy injections.
Yeah, so in the last 20 odd days, have you had any crazy sneeze attacks really? It's purely comes down to, as what you were saying before, everything stems from what you put in your body.
Yeah. To be fair, no, I haven't. Yeah.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Absolutely.
Because this is like what's really interesting, what I've learned over the last 3 years especially. People will hire me for a particular thing, right? And I'm fundamentally a mindset coach. I'm not a business coach. It's not something that I'll teach until I've got that credibility in that space. But with about every single client, what they hired me for versus what they end up benefiting from the most, particularly in the first few months, is their diet and their health. Because I healed an incurable autoimmune disease and went through this journey, at my peak, I lost 60 pounds of body fat and put on 30 pounds of muscle in 2 years. And then I went from running 5Ks in 2018, which is the longest I'd ever run, to completing my first 100 16 weeks later, the Surf Coast Centre, and I've bunged out 3 of them now, plus a bunch of other ones. My top speed, just the other day, bear in mind I'm 45 in June this year, 2025, right? Is 35.8 kilometres an hour, which is the same as Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet or anything, but how was that even possible if you saw what I used to look like, right? Those allergies almost certainly are a direct result of gut health issues.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be major, all right? And there's some other contributing factors as well. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but what you're doing with 75 Hard is bringing a level of awareness, all right? And the encouragement that I would give anyone listening to this, whether you're 21 or whatever, if you do not prioritize taking your health into your own hands, now you got such a big catch-up job. Because
in the future, yeah.
Right? And I'll share something real personal for a second, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
So my wife and I, we've been together, just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary, and we've been together 7 years in September this year. During that time, we've had 16 consecutive miscarriages. Do you think that any of those doctors that we spent time with would alert us to this free IVF program that the Australian government federally funds. No. You know how I found out? My cousin Sharon, who's a former nurse, sent me a TikTok.
No way.
And I was like, this cannot be true. And we know tons of families that have spent 50, 60, 70 grand trying to have a baby.
Yeah.
When there's this availability for, it's not a full service thing. It might probably cost you $1,500 out of pocket, but you need to go and check this stuff out.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy.
So, but the allopathic, the traditional medical system, it's not really their fault because they're educated a certain way. They're not educated to think outside of the box with this stuff. And all the best healing nutritional stuff is all self-taught. And then I'm able to, I don't coach people on diet and nutrition. I point them in the thing. If they want to become a better speaker, I say, hey, sorry, I made you jump.
You hit it right on the reflex.
I'm like, hey, you want to be a better speaker? Go do Vin Jiang's training.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can, people on podcasts, blah, blah, blah. So, and like being able to navigate these things, like go watch this doctor, go watch Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube. Like that's where the real blessing of what I've gone through is that, and being able to help someone with their health is usually the thing that the most successful people I've ever met still don't have nailed.
Yeah.
Right? And if anyone's ever heard of Dr. Brian Tracy, the goal setting guy, who wrote like Eat That Frog, and he's written about 90 other books. He's like one of the OGs of goal setting. He like coached Tony Robbins and like
True.
yeah, he's like 82 now. He was a guest on the show on my podcast last year. I was able to help him. He's got like peripheral neuropathy, which is like numbness in his fingers, and he wanted to lose 20 pounds. Now, I'm not exactly a slim Jim at the moment. I'm bulking, 2-year bulk, but I was able to point him in the direction of some stuff. Now there's a standing invitation to go and have dinner with him and his wife in Santa Barbara in bloody California, wherever he lives.
Yeah, wow.
Like I know you don't know who Brian Tracy's, but he's
Yeah,
like,
I know, but still, yeah.
he's Les Brown's best mate, to give you an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but like your health, I know you hear it all the time, but you really got to find people that know actually what the heck they're talking about. Because there's lots of people out there that go, yeah, you need to have like rolled oats for breakfast and stuff, and it's not going to suit most people.
Yeah.
Because if you can get your time back with the energy, if you need to sleep an hour less a night because your body's got very low inflammation and you're getting better REM because you're not taking a caffeine pre-workout at night or whatever, like that's when you claw back way more time than you can ever imagine. You have way better interpersonal relationships because your moods and your blood sugars are stable. That's way better than hiring an EA out of the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you see where I'm going with this? Like,
even with 75 hard is like I do my morning workout, do your afternoon workout, you drink your water, you get everything you need to get done, and then when it comes to bedtime is when I'll read Think and Grow Rich or my book. I'll do my 10 pages. I've put my phone down. By the time I'm on that 10th page, I'm like struggling. I'm like out, and because I'm like tired from doing both the workouts, working, okay, I need to be eating this, I don't need to drink that, and just constantly being on. By the time I get to bed, I read that book, I'm out. And those 7-8 hours that I'm asleep is like high quality, good sleep because my body is so tired and needs that time to regenerate. So when I get back up in the morning, it's 6:30. I feel like $1 million. When I was eating crap and just doing the thing, I was waking up at 6:30, 7. I'd feel rough, really rough, and it was scary for me too because in that year, like I used to train like tricking, which is like flips. I can do all those flips on ground and all that snazzy stuff, and super active. That year or two from stopping all that to now, I didn't realize how much my body had seized up. Like getting back into the gym, I was like, wow, I've lost so much strength. I feel like my body's rough, and that was just in a year. And keep in mind, I'm young, so like it's really put into perspective to me exactly what you're saying is that your health is wealth. So that's one thing that 75 hard has taught me, because 75 hard, it's not hard doing the work for me. I don't find it hard doing the workouts, and anything like that. The hardest part is finding the time to do it and having the mental discipline to be like, I have to get this done and I can't take no for a fucking answer.
Just showing up.
It's just gotta get done.
Do you both have good knees?
Knees? Yeah, my knees are pretty
Yours
good.
aren't. Yours are no good.
So that's a great story. So at the end of last year, I was a big advocate. I'd never done running in my life, never been a good runner. Most I'd ever ran is maybe 3 kilometers, and I was putted out. Everyone's like, oh no, just keep going. You don't even get that much more tired. I'm like, I'm stuffed. What do you mean? So what we're doing was I said, okay, everybody waits for the end of the year to start their New Year's resolutions and stuff. I'm going to be an advocate for getting a half marathon done before the end of the year. This is like November 27th, and I'm just like, oh, let's just do it. Why not? And I jokingly made a post on social media saying, follow me on my journey, like almost laughing behind it. Within 2 weeks, I got to 15 kilometers. It was purely just mental.
Mm-hmm.
But I stuffed my knee. So I didn't hit the half marathon until 2 weeks later, after the end of the year.
It's a pretty good recovery.
Oh, it was it was pretty rough. So like I just kept going basically till like my knees were like broken.
Yeah.
And I worked with someone who's very good with like knee recovery and doing that, so stuff like backwards walking, stuff like that.
Knees over toes guy.
Yeah, stuff like that. And no, it's actually someone local who goes to Forge, and he is one of the like an instructor for ATG, knees over toes.
Oh wow!
So he's in Australia, which is really awesome. So I contacted him. He came to our Christmas party at Forge. And he's like, oh, well, if you're having trouble with your knees, just hit me up. I'll give you some exercises. Free of charge. Absolute legend, Ollie. And, and now my knees, like, they're not 100%, but they're feeling a lot better. And I was able to smash out that half marathon within, I think, it ended up being 50 days of going from 3Ks all the way.
Phenomenal.
Anyways, the reason why I'm saying this is you just keep pushing through, and it's all completely mental, but yeah, my knees aren't 100%, but it's also because of my frame. I'm 6'7", around 100 plus kilos, and I think 15% body fat, something like that.
Do you know what I watched last night? The movie I watched last night was Space Jam. Remember
the
that
new
Michael?
one or the older one?
No, the OG one, Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in 20 years, maybe longer. And Larry Bird was in there as another guy who's like way taller than you. But the reason I bring that up, and the reason I ask about your knees, there's another component that most people that I've met in my life won't even consider.
Okay.
And we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but like, I was never a runner. Never. I played cricket basically up until I was 40, and I played it. I captained the 4th 11 at Melbourne Uni at Premier level.
Yep.
Right, I had all the kids. How did I go from 5 kilometres being my max distance in early 2018 to 2 weeks later doing a 3:56 marathon in Traralgon? I did a 50k at the end of July that year. And then I ran the Century Surf Coast, which is a trail run 100Ks. And I did get injured, but I was at the beginning of the race, I did a fly kick to show off. And I must have just ever so gently tweaked something that was exacerbated over that time. What it was, and I've interviewed exercise like physiology, all the people to try and understand all this data, right, is I reduced inflammation in my body. So at that time I was on a carnivore diet because of my gut health stuff. I couldn't eat anything else. So I was eating 99% animal based. I'm not saying that's what people need to do, but when you do that, you get rid of all the grains and all the seed oils. As soon as you do that, you'll notice you won't have any joint pain anymore.
Yeah.
So you go, wow. And then like your resting heart rate, dude, when I eat clean, my resting heart rate gets down to 38 beats a minute. At 40, nearly 45. And my max the other day was like
38.
38. Yeah.
That's insane.
And it goes low, even low when I'm fasting. Like when I'm doing a multi-day water fast or a dry fast. And people don't have to believe me. I've got all the data. Like I've been wearing one of these Garmin Ep13s with, tracks everything.
No, but it's not that I think it's so true, because even with what I'm eating, my eczema with my skin, it's gone.
It's
just from what I'm putting in my body,
right? It's a direct reflection of what's going on in your gut.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole other environmental things with water and stuff we won't have time to go into today. But like the point of this is, and maybe not in your case, Isaac, but with like if you want to really like add to that 75 hard, book
75
in.
extreme.
What's the longest distance you've ever run in one go?
5?
5Ks.
Yeah.
So if you want a challenge, right, from the world's best courage coach,
Yeah.
find the next 100 that's like a few months down the line. They're about $500 to enter. So you pay for it, and then you just reverse engineer it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a 50, it's probably way further. But the reason I would encourage anyone to do this, right, for the very same reason you're talking about, it's like, what happened to you mentally when you finished that half marathon?
So
Apart from the
I've got to
knee
tell
pain.
the story of the half marathon first. So I saw it started raining. I'm like, it'd be really shit right now going for a run. And then I ran about 4Ks. I was feeling good. And I'm like, fuck it, let's go for the half marathon. So it was in the pouring rain. I've got Can't Hurt Me with David Goggins running in my ear.
I love that book.
And then it's like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And it was just constant. I ran all the way down to Main Beach from my house. And then it was like sandblasted and everything. I'm like, fuck this. I'm running back the other way away from the water. Had no clue how far I'd run. I was just like running it in the background. And yeah, it was just mentally, it wasn't even a thing anymore. It was just one foot in front of the other. I wasn't even running at that point. It was just like, just move. I need to get home somehow. So you might as well just keep going.
What's happened in your head now that you've done that? How do you think, if at all, it's affected other decision-making process or other beliefs about what you can actually achieve?
Interesting.
It's a bit of a loaded question, but
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
reason I'm asking.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to take some time to really think about that and give you... Is that
And
all
Nash,
right? Yeah.
I found that when I'm running, I get into like a good rhythm, and then it just kind of comes natural. But then like that last K, I like to run Oxenford Lake, which is just around the corner. It's like a 4K circuit. The last K, I'm like, I can see the car, and I get so excited because I can see the car that my adrenaline, all that spikes, and then I get tired. So that last K becomes like difficult, and I feel like if it was just like a long straight where I'm just going, I feel like it would become a lot more easier. But I get so excited that I see the car, I can relax. I think that's one thing that I've taken note of for myself.
You need a strong why. And there's that great quote, when the why becomes clear, the how becomes easy. You're not just going to go put yourself running for 20 hours non-stop. It's like, I did my IT band, so I was in agonizing pain for the last 50 Ks. Did the first half in 7.5 hours, and then took me 19 hours to finish the whole thing. I have never been in that much pain. Arguably, that's what childbirth would... I reckon it's worse than childbirth for women. And I stand by that statement. I'm going to piss a few ladies off. Like, it was unbelievable pain. But I was like, we'd raised a bunch of money. I ran with my friend Sam. I talked about this in the book as well. I was like, I can't not finish this. And we got in with like an hour before the cutoff. Now, I was saying to my beautiful wife, Anna, the other day, I was like, I don't remember the pain anymore. But what I remember is all the breaking through the glass ceiling of like, if I can do this, what else can I do? Less than 1% of the human population ever run a marathon. You want to know the numbers for an ultra? It goes into 0.0001%. And then the number of people that run multiple, it's even less. So these are just, that doesn't have to be an ultra, but like, what can I do that's extraordinary that resets?
Is an ultra marathon classified as at 100?
100
No, technically anything longer than a marathon is considered an ultra.
Okay.
Oh, right, okay.
So like the three long ones I've done are all 100.
Right.
And I got medically withdrawn from the Blackall 100 4 weeks after I did my first one. Got to the 41K mark, and my IT band flared up again. It was insane to run. Most people recover for like 6 months, a year. But the reason, these are the things that will allow you to overcome all the other adversity, all the multiple bankruptcy filing things, all the 20 or 16 miscarriages, and all the flying around the world because you don't feel safe in your own home country, whatever you're dealing with, right? These are all the things that you draw upon and are like a credible conversations that you can use to help inspire other people if you want to help other people. And that's the thing I love about it the most. So I had this obligation to myself with, like, when I wake up in the morning, how would the world's best courage coach conduct himself? So I'm like constantly need to put myself out of my comfort zone. So I've just been investigating going to the Masters Games, which is for basically anyone over 30, and the 45 to 49 category, the national events in Canberra of this year. Like, if I can get there and with my schedule, I'm going to have a crack at knocking off the 60 metre and the 100 metre champion. Like, because I'm tracking fast enough to be able to do it. And I'm 91 kilos and I've smoked cigarettes at the moment as well. It's like, it just shouldn't be possible. Don't judge me, pray for me. But anyway, getting carried away, hijacking the direction of what you're trying to do with this, Isaac.
That's all right. To answer your question, I guess it came down to realize that all the little adversities in business just become so simple. Like, all these little challenges, everyone's arguing about these things, like, oh, what about this, what about that? I'm like, honestly, if we get it wrong, we can just adapt, and there's no real impact that we can have there. So for the small adversities like that, where you're just taking a shot in the dark, like an educated shot in the dark anyways, let's move forward, because, well, your big one, success loves speed. So you make your decisions fast and you live with the consequence and you adapt afterwards. So yeah, I guess it just comes down to some of the smaller adversities or challenges that you face in your life. They're just not as big, because something that people would even just think is crazy, like I ran a half marathon in a storm after a month before never running any more than 3 kilometers. It sounds like I'm a David Goggins psycho as before, but I just feel like the same person, which is it's crazy. You feel like the same person, but just that slight tweak in your mindset makes you sound like a successful mindset coach.
Without knowing all the intimate details of you, since you did that run, I think you are the same person, but what you tolerate has increased.
Interesting.
Like, what you don't tolerate has increased. And what I mean by that is, like, even if it's as simple as, like, someone that you would have ordinarily made time to go and spend and hang around with, you're like, because you've got other things that are becoming more important, you're like, and then as a result, you don't spend around someone who's going to whinge about the state of the economy in Australia and the politics and the government and housing price like cost of living crisis and all the stuff that's poisoning. And I'm not saying these things don't exist, but, like, what are you going to do about it? All right, unless you're going to run for Prime Minister, figure out a solution. Go and out-earn what inflation is. Go and, like, learn a skill. And what surprises me about New Zealand and Australians, because I'm both, so I can comment about this, is how few of them are aware of the things like Think and Grow Rich, like Les Brown, like Brian Tracy, like all these guys. Like, this stuff's brilliant, and it's not new ideas. They're principles from God or source. Like, whatever you, if you're completely don't believe anything's out there, I wish you all the best, because it's very lonely. And I'm not a religious guy, but like, I'm very deeply spiritual, and these principles exist for a reason. We don't really know the true history of the planet, obviously. You know what I mean? It's like, so what can I control? What can I learn? Leading with value. Every interaction, not just with famous people, every interaction, what value can I add to this person's life? And it creates unbelievable momentum in your own life and allows you to call in some big favors when you're in times of trouble.
Interesting. Love it. So for those listening, your book, just briefly, if someone were to read it, what's it about? What are some things you teach in there?
So I wrote it for people that are either dealing with addiction in any form, or they have people that they care about, family, friends that are going through addiction.
Yeah.
And it's the best way to describe it's like a memoir, self-help biography, like written in a very entertaining way. Storytelling form with no like finger waggling like I was talking about before.
Yeah.
But in a way that people can see possibility for themselves and I laid it out, the good, the bad, the ugly. There's some shocking stuff in there, so if you're easily shocked, just don't give it to your 14-year-old daughter. But there's also some really heartwarming things in there, and the feedback that I've had from it, from people that have actually taken the time to read it, has been overwhelmingly positive for its rawness and its realness. And I think Aussies resonate with this whole realness thing, but there's not much realness out there. There's a real facade.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, make up your own mind. It's best consumed in my voice on Audible is the main feedback.
Yeah.
But it's the same book in paperback or on Kindle. It's just on Amazon. So
I think what I love the most about it is, as you were evolving in your journey, you can always connect in the way the story was told. You can connect and relate it to other people that you know or situations that they've been in. So you can really be like, oh, that's like that. That's like uncle. That's like my uncle. Or that's like that's like so and so, and you can really start to build the characters. So even though it's your story and your life, you're drawing the parallels, I think, from that realism to people inside of your own life, which is really incredible.
Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate that, man. It's it means a lot. It's my first book, and I would say that it was a divine download from a power and an intelligence far greater than I. And it came out 2 and a bit years ago, and it's one of those things that I will continue to fight until it gets out and has the kind of impact that I wanted it to do. Because there's no dates on there really. It's timeless principles and stuff that, and I encourage other people to write books. Put their journeys out there, because in the way that people won't resonate with my stuff, they might resonate with yours. They might resonate with yours, Colin, in a different way as well. And the most successful authors that I've met, and I've interviewed authors that have collectively sold over 1 billion books, by the way.
1 billion.
Which
That's a big number.
600
with a B.
600 million come from the Chicken Soup for the Soul, like Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. And Mark Victor Hansen actually wrote a beautiful endorsement in the book. But the similarities between the ones that do really well and the ones that don't is that they wrote it from a place of service. Like there's whether you read the book or not, it's irrelevant. It's just like it's a fun read, and I've read so many terrible books that are just like stats.
I'm excited to give it a go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna read it for sure,
dude. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. So it's like anything I can do to get it in the hands of someone that needs it. Who knows? The butterfly effect. Who knows?
Oh yeah. So for those listening, where can people find you?
If you go to my OnlyFans,
School.com.
just LabanDitchburn.com is where I've got just about everything. And what's been put on there recently is this really cool, I don't know if you've been on there, it's like this interactive AI voice. So it's my voice, and you can ask it anything about me. It won't tell you anything bad, because I think because of the AI programs. I tried. But it'll give you some really good stuff, because it's got all the data from the books. You can ask it like...
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really sick.
You can just click on it. LabanDitchburn.com. There's only one of me on the planet, best I can tell. So if you can't find me, you're not really trying that hard.
Yeah.
It's a movie star name. I think that's what Brad Lee said. It's like Laban Ditchburn.
So Laban's an old Bible name, actually.
Interesting.
Out of the Old Testament, like 4th book in, I think.
Oh.
Means glorious white, which is me during the winter.
All right. So who would you like to see on our podcast? You've got some pretty incredible... You've got Vin Young under your thing. Also, heaps of people from The Secret. Countless amazing people. Who would you like to see on this podcast here with us?
So... What really comes to me is like, who do you want? Because
anyone and everyone.
Name someone. Who do you want? Courage.
No,
it could be anything, right? Like who's?
I'm happy to have anyone. I'm just the whole.
Who's someone you're curious to know more about, that you're like, I really resonate with them. I want to see if they're the real deal. I'm putting you on the spot here.
Stephen.
I want to see Mark Cuban. I've always wanted to meet him, because he's I see him as the most authentic person in Shark Tank in the US. But I want to know if he's the real deal. Is he actually a genuine person, or is he being corrupted over the
Is it
years?
a facade?
Yeah, is it all just a facade for the camera?
I have my personal opinions. I haven't
Yep.
met Mark. I haven't spent any time. I haven't interviewed him. He would traditionally be someone that's at a level of, particularly with super duper wealth.
Yeah.
There's certain levels of like access and availability that
Mm.
it's not impossible, but it's just
Yeah.
it's a bit harder. And the reason I ask, because it's irrelevant unless it's a question that you really want me to like. The honest answer, and this sounds real cheesy, was I'd love you to interview someone that is, and I would encourage you to do this anyway, that's a really good storyteller, because the best podcasts are with people that know how to get a message across in a way that's not sticky and boring.
It's entertaining. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because these beautiful people that are taking an hour and a half out of their day to listen to this, they don't want to walk away going, what the was that?
Yeah.
They want to go, oh, I'm inspired to go run a half marathon or 100 Ks or go on a carnivore diet or whatever. So get people that are really great communicators that have the same, service-led mentality as you guys, that don't have an agenda, that don't have an ego. There's confidence and self-assuredness that I absolutely possess, but like having an ego in this game will be your quickest downfall.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time. People are being found out, particularly with social media and receipts. So there's lots of very famous people that you would have heard of. Mark Cuban being one of them. Like, he's done some stuff that we don't need to talk about now, but I'm like, he's not someone that I would want to personally learn from or spend time with. And some of the names would shock you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shock you. That are living basically different lives. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but like, hopefully what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Laban, it was incredible having you on today. Thanks so much for taking the time. Laban Ditchburn, everybody.